channel following the event. And please utilize the QR code located behind me to check into today's event. This helps CID track our attendance and cater our events for our future audiences. And lastly, make sure to subscribe to the CID's newsletters to learn more about our event offerings and any upcoming opportunities that we have to offer. But without further ado, I'd like to briefly introduce our speaker here today, Jackson Kaguri, CEO of Nyaka Inc. in 2023 Harvard Advanced Leadership Institute Initiative Fellow. He founded Nyaka in 2001 to tackle systemic inequalities, poverty, and hunger in a village of Nyaka in Southwest Uganda. Jackson has raised over $150 million for Nyaka to provide free education and healthcare to 86,000 AIDS orphans and vulnerable children. To foster sustainable economic empowerment, Nyaka provides microloans and entrepreneurial training for 20,000 grandmothers who look after children. He's a board member of Global Giving, an international award winner, and the author of 7 books, and has been named CNN's Hero of the Year, Heifer Hero, Global Citizen, and Power of One by Time Magazine. Thank you all for being here, and Jackson, over to you.
Thank you, Dora. Dora. Thank you, Dora, for that amazing introduction. Now, after that introduction, I'm nervous. But thank you for coming today. Thank you, CID, for organizing this. All our Zoom viewers, we greet you, we thank you. Some are from Uganda, our staff members are watching. And the work we are going to talk about, which is in Uganda, is done every single day by men and women on the forefronts in the villages of Nyaka, Utamba, Nyakajezi. So to all of you, thank you for the work you do. The topic today is bottom-up approaches. And I am a wanderer. Usually when I speak, I'll go at the end of the room and go at the end of the room. But for Zoom purposes, I'm going to try to stay as close to the podium as possible. Thank you, Tori. Tori Dito, who is fresh from Nyaka, Uganda, with her husband, Jonathan. We were in Nyaka 2 weeks ago. So when we come to questions and you have questions about Nyaka and Uganda, please ask these two. They have just come back from there. When we speak of international development, many of us who lead organizations that fall into this category, many times we are not considered as part of that international development. The work we do and lead comes out of passion and injustices we face as we grow up in these circumstances. And so I am CEO of Nyaka, born and raised in a tiny village in Uganda, a title I'd never applied for a job to get, but by virtue of fighting injustice in the village where I was born and raised, here I am at Harvard University giving a talk about this big topic. I was born and raised in a tiny village in Uganda called Nyaka, which is our case study today. Nyaka is located in southwestern Uganda. I figured since we are speaking at Harvard, we don't need to put a map. Neither do I need to tell you that Africa is not a country. Neither do you need to repeat that sentence that I always ask students in high school and middle schools to recognize that Africa is a continent of 52 countries, each government independent of each other. And when we speak of one government, we also have to go deep and dissect a village from a city, from a municipality. Because where I was born, if Nyaka had not put it on Google Map, you wouldn't find it on Google Map now. So we will concentrate in that village. Amazing people we are going to be talking about are women mostly. Why? Because we are operating in a patriarchal society where men still make decisions, where men still drive the agenda, where girls are forced to marry at an early age, where boys are pregnant girls and boys continue doing their work and going to school, while the girls drop out of school, where mothers raise their children to become doctors and prominent people in the world, but never get the credit of what we do. So this patriarchal setting is where we're going to go. And several other titles you want to see are there. If you are a good reader, like to call the book and read in the back. We have books, sorry to our Zoom viewers. Pick a book, take it, it's a free brochure for you. And I also see my ALI fellows who I spent a year with here at Harvard University last year. Thank you for coming. Elizabeth, who has been here for most of the time. She's here. Thank you for coming. These are the beautiful women we're going to be talking about. Bottom up. I was born and raised in this tiny village. My mother and my father still lives, mom has passed away, never went to school. Mom died at 94 years of age without speaking a single word in English. Only English words she had was either from her children or grandchildren. But when I started writing books, my mother had a copy of all 7 books I wrote. And every day she spent time turning those pages. Proud moment for her. Jackson got an honorary PhD. I would take the food and put it on her and take a picture, and mom would turn those books over and over. She even loved when I wrote children's books, because now she could see pictures of the children's books. So mom, my sister told me to stop putting her picture in every presentation I made. So my sister, I honored you. I'm showing other women in these pictures, not my mother. So what do we mean bottom-up approaches? Nyaka started in this village where I was born and raised 22 years ago. We started by building schools for children because of HIV/AIDS. Many orphans were growing without mothers, without fathers, fathers who are the key in providing support in need. So I started a small school, and when I started the school, my mission was to build a school, walk away, sustainable in 3 years, just like we speak and teach, and walk away. But that was not the case. We started using the holistic approach, realizing that children need more than education in the classroom. They needed care, they needed housing, they needed water. So what we did as an organization is what many of you who study international development call mission creep. We took the stage of looking at the child and surrounding them with the support they need to survive and thrive. But the most important one was, since they have lost their mothers and fathers, let's create a family structure for them. So I walked in the village, one house at a time, convincing women to take in children who are not related to them. In the United States, you call it foster care system. I created a foster care and asked these women to take in children and care, put them to sleep, not dead. Help them to go to bed. Wake up in the morning. I don't want to say putting them to sleep and say Jackson is killing children. Make sure they go to bed, wake up in the morning, walk 7.5 miles and go to school and come back. But while we are doing that with the women in the villages, we realized these women had their own challenges in the households. And so as the women started talking to us, we call them grandmothers, not because they are too old and can't do anything, because being called a grandmother in our society is a title of respect and dignity. So some are 35 years old, and when we call them grandmothers, they jump up and down and say, yes. When I call people grandmother in the United States, people say, are you calling me old? So our title, please, take it in the context of Uganda, not here. So when we talk about bottom-up approaches, we are talking about initiatives of community development at grassroots level. We are speaking of involving people in decision-making. Whenever we talk about poor people in rural areas of the world, we tend to think that we know better and therefore we tell them what to do. The local people become main implementers and key drivers of decisions that affect them. One thing for you international development students you need to remember is people have lived millions of years in their society. And whether you come and bring in development or not, they are going to live. They are not all dying tomorrow. So that means they know how to live in their communities. So the first thing I will say to all of you students who write these papers and go on is, when you work in these societies and communities, ask them how you can be of help them. Your Harvard degree is amazing. Your Harvard professorship is amazing. But a woman in my village knows how to wake up in the morning, take her shower, which many of us even have showers here, don't take, say her prayer, go to the garden, make her grow her food, bring her food, feed her children, and go to sleep at night and come back tomorrow. So when you come in one day and say, we are going to resettle all of you and build you skyscrapers, then you live in these homes because we have all the money we need from Mackenzie Scott, and now we can change your life completely. You shift their balance off. And many times that's why they don't end up embracing what is coming in or even succeeding in doing the job. So for us, we went and asked questions. How can we help you? The context of Nyaka grandmothers in Uganda, women are living in a predominantly patriarchal society. To this day, my father, who still lives at 92 years of age, whose daughter lives 2 blocks from him, and my sister, who lives 2 blocks from him, has more money than me, makes more money than me in the village of Nyaka, Uganda. When my father is sick, he will pick up a phone and call me in Michigan. I'm not feeling well. I'm like, Faida is right there. I just want to tell you so you can tell Faida. In my father's eyes, in 2024, me being a boy child are more important. And Faida is not because she's old. This is 2024. This is the father of featuredJackson Kaguri. His mentality is, girls, it's okay, but you are not the child. When he processed papers for my children to get passports in Uganda, he did it for my 2 sons, Nicholas and Nora. Said, Dad, what about Tali and Tessa? Have twin beautiful children. Said, those we processed too. He said, yeah, they are as important as Nicholas and Nora. So for me, being raised by a woman who couldn't read and write, seeing her importance in our life, when I wanted development, I didn't call it international development at the time. I started with women because I knew the value they bring on the table. And I have since strategically using this long-term approach, promoting cultural sensitivity, because I know the system, which means it implies a high likelihood of sustainable outcomes. Ladies and gentlemen, Nyaka is 22 years now. We are serving 20,000 women who are raising 88,000 children. You can clap. It might not be big for you, but for me, seeing 20,000 women who make decisions every single day on how to spend their money is very, very important. And on March 1st, 2024, Women Month, we are going to celebrate Women International Day on March 8th. For me, I'll be celebrating 20,000 plus coming up. Women who are making a decision my mother died without ever making. That is huge. And when we define international development from Harvard Halls to Nyaka, that is a huge success for us. And Fatima, thank you for letting me come and share that. That's the boss right there. So Nyaka mission background, we recognize all these different things. We knew we needed a holistic approach. Education was the first one. We knew children can't succeed without women around them who are caring for them. We knew we needed to provide healthcare and nutrition. And so we did all these different things. And then in 2015, we were faced with girls being raped while they go to school, and we launched another program. But for purposes of today, we will concentrate on the women. You go on our website, you'll find more of this holistic approach. And today, let's look at the women program mothers. When we talk of a grandmother, age of these 20,000 women, average age is 45. Trust me, Tori watched some of them jump up and down, dance 2 weeks ago. Some are 35. 35, they can enroll in these programs of grandmothers. They must be one of our grandmother program. You have to live with at least 3, some 10 grandchildren. These grandchildren, most of them are not related to the women they live. They are successful entrepreneurs because knowing what my mother went through making money and handing to my father, we start businesses for these women. The businesses are different from one woman to the other. Just like I told you, we need to ask people, how can I be of help to you? We ask them, what would you like to do? One likes to do tailoring, another one wants to do poultry, another one doesn't eat pig, so they do chicken. Another one does pig, one does baskets, one does jewelry, different things they do in their homes. They engage in small farming. They come every 2 weeks, meet in a group and support one another. So if you want to learn a different skill that your friend knows, you start teaching each other. They are self-organizing in nature, though we are going in there with a motorcycle and help them bring trainers to do different things. Mostly read. 20,000 women are staffed by 6 staff members. Nobody can supervise 20,000 people. 6 people supervise 20,000. That tells you the women are already driven, and because the question is, how can I be of help to you? They know what to do, they just report and use the skill sets that we give them. The barrier we face again, the biggest one is action. Remember, some of these women are still married, they have husbands. 20 years ago when we started, many of the husbands didn't want them to go to groups. So we had to go and start a men group to educate men why their women are going to sit somewhere for 2 hours and come home late sometimes. Why they didn't make a meal that was expected to be made at home. And now we have groups of men who understand that this is important and we need to embrace it, and it is helping within the communities. These are women and men who don't have a bed in the home. So the husbands in the homes where it's been successful, they come now and tell me, I have a mattress, you know. And I say, where did you get it? Oh, my wife bought a mattress after she sold her baskets. I have the cell phone now. I have milk, I have sugar, I have salt. So once they start seeing the benefits, they are pride of, and the man I'm supposed to be providing, even when you can't provide. Now we are changing the culture shift of I'm a provider to I can support and still have things in my household. How have we done that? We introduced microfinance savings program. That's a fancy word that you've had in international development. Truly, our women just go together and say, 5 of you bring 10 cents every time you meet, put it in this pot. When it is full, we hand the pot to the other person. We've put words on it to fit in, but really the women came up with their own system. They even had a big rope they tie on that pot. So nobody can go in the pot until it is full and they hand it to one person. So now it is called microfinance. We try to bring in people who understand savings and credit and budgeting to teach our women in the local language. So what I have done mobilizing resources for our community, I've also gone in Uganda and mobilized people who are from this society, come back home and help out, teach our women in their local languages. We have put in capital investments by building houses, kitchens, and latrines. That's outside the house. A home in Uganda is a home where you sleep, a kitchen where you cook, and a toilet where you go, pit latrine. So we've gone in and donated some of these, but also empowered women to do it for themselves with the money they have. So over the time, you can meet some of them and how happy they are when they receive these services. Some of them are too old to start a business, so we will make a grant and do it. Others, we teach them the skills to make their own money and then help them on how to spend money on capital, on savings, and on expenditure. So there is the snapshot on Uganda. Uganda has 46 million people. Of those 46 million people, 1.2 million are grandmothers or women in rural areas of Uganda. Now, for us to have done 20,000, we jump up and down and say success, success, success. But you can see what we face. And that's according to 2022. The population grows faster. Uganda is the size of the state of Oregon. Population 46 million people. When you take away the national parks and gazetted land, you can now see it is a compacted, overpopulated area. The women we work with, when we say they are farming, we don't start thinking 20 acres of land, Michigan, Iowa, Ohio farms. We are talking about the size of this room, and the woman grows food there to survive on and provide for their children. The 56% of these women are categorized as most vulnerable. They are living in remote areas, which we call hard to reach areas. Average money a woman would earn 1.6. That's if you are lucky, dollars. And then minor economic shocks like COVID takes this 1.6 and puts them under poverty. Like they can't afford to eat. They can't afford to eat. Their children are sleeping on empty stomachs. And you've seen those pictures in New York Times and CNN. I don't have to bring them in my presentation. One of the other things we try to do, ladies and gentlemen, where we work with the most vulnerable, is also to retain their dignity. So when I go back and my staff see this picture, they're going to say, but Jackson, they have not washed their feet. We try to make sure a grandmother puts on their best dress, dresses up before their pictures are shared. But here we go, their roots sometimes exceptional. So the blueprint that we started with for 22 years, we have done partnerships on the ground in Uganda, across the globe, all over the place. Many people ask me, where do you live? And sometimes what I want to say is in my suitcase. Because I've traveled everywhere, advocating for these women, speaking engagements, from my days at Columbia University to working at Michigan State, to writing all these books to international schools in Korea, in China, to translating my books in Chinese, to Harvard ALI. Last year was my easiest low-key year that I spent here at Harvard University doing ALI. Otherwise, every 2 weeks also, I am on a plane going somewhere to advocate for this women. So the partnerships have been huge, multifaceted approach that many people call mission creep, that we call our asset to taking care of our communities. And these partnerships include non-profit organizations, local government in Uganda, and knock on the door all the way to the president's office in Uganda, trying to make sure that we can get to do the work together. Communities of grandmothers who are the biggest stakeholders. I had to explain to our grandmothers what stakeholder means for them to understand. Many organizations, when you ask them who makes decisions, they'll tell you board members, Our decisions are made by grandmothers. And many times, the people who are on our board argue with me. Why are you starting a hospital now? And I'm going, Grandmothers need where to go to the hospital. Otherwise, they will never go anywhere. When they walk 7.5 miles and go to the nearest hospital and sit for 8 hours, they're not coming back tomorrow. Why? Because they are more sick. After walking and waiting, they can't even walk again. So what did I do? I built a hospital closest to them. Now they can walk and they can sleep there if they want. Nobody's going to kick them out, but I also make sure they get the services they need. Our strategy, group and community workshops, door to door. This helped us a lot when we are dealing with COVID right here. Door to door, literally by our staff members, but I had also to go on radio every week from Michigan to speak to grandmothers to go and get vaccinated. And because they had that voice of somebody they know, looking at what we've done for them, we had the highest number of vaccinated grandmothers and women, while people in the capital city of Uganda were thinking America wants to kill them, they can't be vaccinated. Ours were standing in media, radio, television. Think of it, we do it. TikTok, Instagram, Netflix, wherever we can get the grandmother stories to be broadcasted and shared, we will do it. We've done a good job of it. Community approaches, Nyaka supports and works with these different financial. When I was reading on CID website, the financial empowerment for women and communities around the world remains the most crucial part to sustain communities that we work in. For 22 years, we've done charity work, but we included in the finances, teaching women how to make their own money so they can sustain themselves. As we move forward to get Nyaka sustainable, we are investing in creating businesses, legitimate, registered businesses. We had to push the government of Uganda and get the government to change legislation, allow a woman to own land. When I was growing up, if you were a woman, you could not own land on your own. You needed your son, a male person, to sign on even if they were below 8 years of age. Male person had to sign on for you to own land. We have changed that law, allow women now to own their own land. So the 20,000 women, when the husband says yes, or if she's a widow, she still can own her land and the house she builds, and it is in their names. Can
we clap that?
Yes. If you look at the numbers there, the groups we have, we form them, some are 50, some are 60. Tori and Jonathan listed like 3 of these grandmother groups. They meet under, usually within the community, around the church area, many churches. You go in these communities where you have the biggest poverty, biggest disparities, and there's always a church. Beautiful building, carpeted inside, but is locked all week until when they come to worship. So we've gone in and raised awareness around these worship areas. Let our grandmothers come and meet, at least on the veranda. So now even the pastors and priests and synagogues, they now come and open the doors and allow these women to come and sit in and do their meetings. So these 254 groups, the number 23,000, I keep saying 20, and our staff keep telling me, Jackson, they have gone up. They go up every day. But you also remember some die. The women we serve, always there are some waiting to join our groups. So when somebody dies, they press the number, but they do let us know. So those are the numbers as you can see them.
What's the OVC?
Obviously, orphans and vulnerable children. So orphans, vulnerable children. Thank you. Was not your question, but Tori is a stubborn one, so watch out for her. OVCs, and we try to be fancy now, putting. If you attended any of my speeches 15 years ago, I would have pictures one by one. And so our fancy staff members said we need to put in the charts. you are speaking to academicians, you need to see the graphs and charts. So there you go, academicians. Now you can use your mind in the business side of things, well, or Sinema can use the story side of things on this side. But all this is orphan and vulnerable children. Our impact. Now you can see what we have done so far. We have increased daily income earnings. Remember the 1.06? Daily income. The high returns on our investments, return on the investment. Now you go to me, I have to say everything that is not deviation. Return on investments, 285% return on investment. Imagine a woman getting $20 to make baskets, and now she has bought a mattress, now she has bought a cell phone, and now she has a motorcycle for business, and she's making $5 a day from the 1.6 a month she was making before. When we talk about our cheering and the development from the grassroots, this is huge success for us. When you talk to Warren Buffett, this is nothing. But our women now are Warren Buffett of the village. If she can sleep on a mattress and can earn money and can buy her own cell phone and now has a business, she doesn't have to dig in the garden, the already on the side of the hill. She can sit and make that money. That is huge success. We have also diversified in a way from the wages of labor, we look at the remittances, we look at the promotion of civic empowerment. When these women have gained access to money and voice, they are now standing for offices. So now the policies that affect the country will be made by some of the people who were not expected at any one point participate in civic engagement. 202,492 women in our 3 districts have all participated or stood and won an office in their communities. That's it. That's big. So next time now we are discussing whether a woman needs to walk 20 miles to go to the hospital or whether they should put a health center in a certain location. These women, based on their own experiences, will be able to make a decision that affects them on a single day. Catherine, please remind me on time. I can talk and talk and talk. We are good? Okay, so here we are coming out with a big goal to impact more women by 2035. United Nations sets these goals all the time and say, so please pray for us that we don't fail on these goals. If you don't know Millennium Goals that were set by United Nations, we have a diplomat and former United Nations here from Georgia, former classmate. 2015, United Nations set Millennium Goals. One of those goals was to educate all children around the world by, I think it was 2015. They were to be met by 2015. All those Millennium Goals by the end of 2015, 60 million children were still out there in poverty. Now there is what they call SDGs. Sustainable Development Goals. By 2030, it's going to be health for everybody. It's going to be climate change, it's going to be all done. All sustainable goals are out there, and we are saying, no, Nyaka, we are going to set our own, and we want to make sure we meet these goals. So, a potential market for us to go with grandmothers, we have created our small, tiny bank called the Nyaka Microfinance Bank. This came in place because the women who have been taking $20 and start small businesses have made more money and want to invest bigger. In a class at Harvard, you sit, all of you, and some got A+, some got B, some got C. The A+ women want to invest more, so they came to Nyaka and say, can we borrow more money? And we said, we actually don't have more money, but also our mission is not to make you millionaires. Our mission is to get you out of poverty so we can go in another village and do the same. Say, okay, we'll go to commercial banks and borrow money to do it. They went to commercial banks, the rates were high. They calculated how much money they're going to give commercial banks and came back to us and said, actually, given how much we are going to pay there, we would suggest you start a bank and we can borrow at that rate and the money keeps here. Bottom-up approach. Instead of us telling them we have created a bank, come bank with us, they came to us and said, we have the resources. We don't want the resources to go somewhere. Create something for us so the resources can stay here. What they didn't envision is those resources will help us to go now help more people. So they were smarter than their CEO. That's why I love this one. So they said, let's start a bank. We launched a bank in May 2023, while I was here at Harvard. The summer program, we are supposed to go back and work on our project. I went back to Uganda. We rented a small building, and Fatuma, we had the bank by the end of 2024. 322 women had opened their accounts. Oh, when you look at then now our minds and our bankers and our main officers went in to see what is the potential, what is the target market. All these questions you ask in the business plan, what is the geographical scope? You can see Uganda has the centralized system called districts. You can call them counties here in the United States. So we have these counties all over the place. Nyaka, as of now, is working with 3 counties out of all those many that we can reach. So we saw the potential. We saw how we can scale. The groups are already self-organizing. They have the resources. They have the savings groups. And now what we need to do is just make sure we provide these women what they are asking for, and then open up these banking services to everybody. What was patriarchal, men are controlling everything. Women now have initiated something that's going to go and create an economic powerhouse for everybody in the community. And that is the natural order. For me, as a Christian man, the natural order here, the woman carries you in her stomach for 9 months, births you and brings you to this world. Patriarchal from the exchange and called matriarchal. That alone, for those of us who are born in rural areas, or only person you know who cares for you every single day, gets you walking to school is your mother. And now, I'm telling our staff members, the mothers of the community are birthing something that was never there in our community. Economic development and empowerment right on their doorsteps. But even better, as we go into all this banking and projections, I was telling Tori while we are there, now with technology, we will be able to actually take this one brick and mortar bank, digitize it, so that everybody who is from this area can bank. So all the 150 employees we have in Uganda can put their savings and deposits. So all we need to do this year is to raise money, meet the requirement by the government of Uganda for a bank, a microfinance bank. And when you have that requirement, then there's another requirement of 1,000 subscribers. Remember, we have 20,000 women. The government is asking for 1,000 of those. The requirement to open an account is $5 in Uganda shillings. So I can actually put in money for $5 for 1,000 people to go open that account. As long as we have that, then we digitize, and now we can do online banking, phone banking, or called mobile money banking, and the women would have started something revolutionary. But for purposes of you academicians and numbers, you can see the primary market. For us, you can see the graph, the grandmother household budget growth, where it is going to go from 2023 last year when we opened to 2035. This is Paul doing this. Tori knows the person who put this together. You can see the grandmother's household district by district. For scale, think of this county in the United States. Each county, different ones, and how the projections are looking like. And you can see what is going to be able and the people who are going to be enjoying it. Bottom, from their tiny grass thatched houses, from their tiny no bed bare minimum, to starting a revolution to create a bank. All because we asked the question, how can we be of help to you? Right after Colombia, I could have walked in my village and said, the featuredJackson Kaguri Foundation, and do anything I wanted because I could afford to do it. But the mother who raised me, who broke a pencil 5 times, taught me well better. Jackson, God gave you 2 years and 1 month. And I decided to use her advice on the grandmothers, the women who live in the most dire circumstances, to be able to do this international development in a way that would be dignified and pointed to them. So now we are the agency for us to promote the financial freedom for the grassroots rural women in predominantly patriarchal society. Ladies and gentlemen, 10 years from now, this is not going to be just Uganda, it's going to be anywhere. We are going to create what we call Nyaka in a box. If you want to do it in China, you can do it. If you want to do it in Sierra Leone, you can do it. If you want to do it in Nicaragua, you can do it because we know how it works now. We involve the local people, we bring the funds that are needed, we ask them how to empower and extend those funding. They have the solutions within them. So if you're a student trying to go do work anywhere in the world, I'm not saying you have to be a Jackson reborn. Just go in the community you want to go to and speak to the people who live in that community. They will work with you. They know the solutions many times. They don't have just the finances to move. And if you go side by side in a partnership, not this power dominant. I'm here, you are there, you tell me what, write 20 pages of report, send it to me, and then I will send you $1,000. No, partnership. Sit on the same table, eat the same food, drink the same drink, local one or imported one, and the people will come up with their solution. This is the revenue goal for us in 2024, moving forward in 2028, and moving forward in 2035. Ladies and gentlemen, when the local people are involved, when the local people come up with their own solutions, and we work side by side, we can do it. Anytime you think it cannot be done, remember you come. The uniform these women wear, they came up with the design themselves. They saw me wearing the t-shirt and said, we want something like that. How do we do that? Next thing, they have talked to somebody, somebody has talked to somebody, and the cotton maker in Uganda called Native had designed a dress for them. They wanted to be unique, which is why YouTube and all these channels are so popular. They wanted to be unique, to be like when they walk through the community now, you can see those are Nyaka grandmothers. What started as women who were in need and needed to be supported is now a combination of women regardless of status in society. Women who my mother didn't need to go in this group because she didn't need support. And my mother asked me, I want a uniform. I said, for what? I said, I want to go meet with other women. Her back was out. Mom was in the wheelchair for 20 years. But her best day was the day when she goes to church. Her second best day is when she went to association, potential, dignity for the people we think are not deserving when they are the ones who are more deserving than sometimes watching. So that is our Nyaka example. That's our bottom up. 23 years later, the children they have raised are doctors, they are lawyers, they are bankers, they know what to do, and they are the ones who are going to take the digital section of the bank and take it forward to the next level. Thank you so much for coming, and I'll take your questions.
Thank you so much. I'm an MCMBA student here. So one of the biggest challenge I've seen with the community engagement program is the transition from a very curated program to a sustainable program fully owned by the community. So I just wanted to know what are the tools employed by your organization to ensure that sustainability, because many times you see a breakdown after the support by the organization is slowly withdrawn. And I would also like to know how long are you planning to handhold in the way you're doing now, or have you already started withdrawing your support? Very close support to the group.
Thank you. I didn't catch your name.
Anupama. My name is Anupama.
Anupam. So you're asking about our sustainability and if we have already started deploying sustainable goals and steps to get away from fundraising?
No. More about like how the community group are going to do on their own, without the support of hand-holding of Nyaka in the future.
All right. Very good. Thank you. Now I understand. The programs we do in this holistic nature, education, hospitals, libraries, community water projects, we are still fundraising and sending in money. So I can say there we are still hand-holding. The women program, which is why I chose to focus on that, is basically close to self-sustaining. Once a woman takes the $20 and deploys it into making these bracelets or baskets, they are able to make money support themselves on a daily basis within 2 years. When you see the 1.0 cent, $0.0. $1, when you look at a woman who's starting at $1, the 285% I was talking about, within 2 years, that woman is not actually taking any more $20 to deploy. They are self-sustaining. They are the ones who actually now are going into the bank, because rather than making baskets, now they have a tailoring program, and the tailoring program funds the motorcycle, and the motorcycle employs our grandchild and her husband. So we are actually already self-sustained there. Where we are going with the bank is now to take it to the next level. So the profits from these women is actually going to go and support the children who are going to school.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And the schools also have started the double. We started with free education for everybody. Now we have paying students. The catchment area where I built the first school, kids who can walk 7.5 miles to school, we have exhausted it. Now, people who live there, including teachers and relatives of teachers or suppliers of bricks, now are able to pay a fee so they can come to school. Then the other OVCs, orphans and vulnerable children, can get a scholarship or a bursary, as we call it. So we are not 100% we are going there.
Hi, I'm Margie Bride with Brand Community in Malawi. I can see how the women are supporting themselves, but how big is your staff in the country, and where are your major sources of fundraising?
If you get a basket right now, imagine, and pass a basket, everyone can chip in for these women. But that's why I told you, imagine that I'm more live in a suitcase and on planes than in the house. because I travel all over the place. But rather than even self-fundraising, I have found myself educating people more than ask for money. Because what I learned coming in this country and still to this day, people don't know that these problems exist. Margie works in Malawi with small community of grandmothers, so she knows what we are talking about here. But when people understand circumstances others are going through and how much it takes to completely erase those problems, they offer funding without even asking for funding. I do ask for money. I don't want to go see, but mostly I have to educate people to understand circumstances we are working in, and then for them to visualize where we are going, rather than just say, we are going to build water in India, and in 3 years will be sustainable. Sustainability has been, that word has been misused a lot in international development. We need to redefine it and also apply it in different circumstances as should be applicable. I mean, we are here at Harvard University, biggest university in the world, largest endowment in the world, but the Office of Fundraising still operates here. 320 employees raise money for Harvard every year. Why? Why is it not sustainable and nobody's raising money? We can still raise money, but we need to get it to a point also where these programs can earn money, and earning potential is there. People in my village use cell phones. They drink clean water in the bottles. Now we have a trash issue because people are drinking more bottled water than boiling it. So if we start businesses within these communities and find where people are spending their resources, then we can tap in those resources and get the women to do it. By raising money through schools, through churches, foundations, corporations, schools, individuals. I've got kindergarten schools, I write children books, and kids are given money, change money to build something in Uganda. And I've gone where somebody has written $1 million check. But also what I've found successful magic is to have people to come and see it themselves. 2 weeks ago, when we were there, Jonathan here, who is a social worker, identified an issue that I have talked about so many times. Patriarchy is there. The boys who are growing in this society are not getting the help they need to change their mindset, to address issues they are working with. So Jonathan and I are going to launch something for boys to men. How do you empower these women now who can sign the agreement and own land, and then they get to a point where they need to find partners if they're interested in a boy and find an empowered boy. So Jonathan, here we go. The task is to create empowered boys into responsible men, and we'll have an amazing society that is growing side by side, men and women, recognizing each other's potential and power and respect each one of these.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Maria. I'm a student here, and I worked for a bit in rural Kenya on like some different NGO projects. So my question is a bit like more controversial. Like what I saw in Kenya, especially, I actually worked on the border with Uganda, so Kisumu. Is that with like economic problems, the problem is that people in extreme poverty usually don't have long-term vision, and for some of them, it's better to spend $20 that you give them now rather than like investing in something and like understanding that in the future they will get more returns on that. So did you face any like situations like that when people try to deceive you and just spend the money that you gave them, or maybe like grandmother wanted to invest but like the money got taken by other family members? So like what like maybe other problems that you faced in implementation of the programs?
Maria, I think the question is not controversial, it's based on the observation. When you are dealing with a community that is holding money, sometimes for the first time, the way they spend it is different. And in our society, you are right, you will give a woman money to go, a woman, man or boy money to go invest, and while they are going to invest, they pass by the neighbor who just lost a child, and they put it in the basket for condolences. Or a wedding is happening and somebody needs a contribution to go get married. The patriarchal things we are talking about here, women are still, you still pay bride price to get married. And if the son goes to the grandmother who just received their $20 to invest in baskets, and their son is getting married, she might give that $20 to the son to go get married. So part of the work we have done with Nyaka and continue to do is also to train. It's a training. You were raised maybe in a family where mom and dad already knew how to make money and save money, and they teach you as you grow up. Remember, my mom didn't know how to read and write. I didn't know there's a checkbook is even something to talk about. I didn't know there was a bank. I've had to self-teach myself. So now we are going to grandmothers who are raised in the same circumstances. Somebody has a need, meet the need first. So the investing part has to be taught. That's why these women are meeting every week. If she's coming from a meeting with her $20, and she knows this is the money that I'm going to save eventually to buy a motorcycle, and the training just happened, the decision of giving that money to her son is going to be a different conversation because she just has received the training. So where I was saying bottom up is also understand where people are coming from. The circumstances they live in sometimes determine how we spend money. And we invest a lot in training, education, patience. Instead of buying 10 outfits, maybe buy one, use the other ones to, but it takes longer to get. Every young girl now in my village wants a cell phone. Not because they had the need for it, but because everyone has it. Their friends have it. Now I also want to get it. So what will they end up doing? They end up selling themselves for sex to get a cell phone. But if the grandmother who is working with them starts telling them and projecting where it is possible, where look at these role models, or if you're pregnant, it is okay, you can still stay in school, the mind shift changes slowly. Something that many times in this country, we tend to forget is it's a process even in the United States. And look how long it took the United States to recognize that the gay man can be in the army or can play football. Even this day, if you're a football player and you are gay, football players are going to say, but we are easy to say in another country, how dare they do this? So it's a process. 20 years, maybe 30 years might be different, and then the generation we are raising is going to be taught by the people who are with. The boys Jonathan and I are going to work with are going to have children who look at life completely different from my father, who still thinks my sister is not a child. So it's going to take us a little bit longer. We have to be patient, but we have also to deploy resources to continue educating and training and bringing the right examples that they can feel, touch, and model.
We have time for one more question.
So Jackson, it was incredible listening to your presentation. Congratulations first on everything you and the team, the community have accomplished. Because you've been on the road, because you're in a very unique situation where you've had access, not just at the local level and the national level, but at the global level, and you've been in so many different forums and conversations, really with the world's elite when it comes to the development landscape. Can you share with us, and feel free to be as critical or provocative you want to be, but can you share with us some of your frustrations with the current development landscape and where we are just really off track to understand local development and bottom-up approaches. So from the global side, where decisions are often made at very, very high levels, either around country priorities, sector priorities, or how funding is allocated, what is your advice to the rest of us as we think about new models for global development?
Fatima, you want to get me in trouble. So if I was telling Katrine earlier that if you need the next speaker for this series, Tori Ditton right here. And when you said that, she shook her head because she knows we've had conversations about these frustrations a lot. Tori and I have known each other for many years. She's been to Nyaka so many times, to the extent now she brought her husband to celebrate 35 years of marriage in the village. Others go to UK and Paris and go on the yacht. They came to Nyaka in the village to dance with grandmothers. So thank you. And I will start from right there. We cannot solve problems that we are not exposed to. Many times decisions are made in boardrooms, decisions are made at universities here at Harvard. You send students all over the world to do development work, but there is no reciprocity. Why should Nyaka be a laboratory for Michigan State University? Let me not talk about Harvard too much. For students to go learn development, and there is never an opportunity to bring students from there to learn. I'm on a plane all the time. Detroit, Amsterdam to Uganda. The plane that is going from Amsterdam to Uganda is full of well-deserved people, most students who are going to learn internship. No opportunities are there. We need to start filling those planes also and bring people. That's like the church does, they send missionaries to go evangelize the world. Know how many problems are here? Know how many people in the United States need God? And they could learn from our grandmothers how they pray every day, what keeps them going. So that reciprocity is something that I will talk about from the boardrooms where decisions are made to go work with genital mutilation around the world. But the girls, the women and girls who are being mutilated are never given an opportunity to come and spend time with women who are not mutilated and how they live their lives. So as a result, problems keep being perpetuated. Tell the truth, Fatima, if really we wanted to solve problems, poverty would be reduced tremendously. And many organizations are not in to solve this. They have found a career in doing things. We do this, we do this, we do this. If you went to UNICEF and say, 50 years ago, you were giving aid in Uganda. Where is the impact? 50 years later. They wouldn't find it because they throw money at a problem, another one comes, then that, then there's earthquake, then there's tsunami, then there's this. We move with the wind. What's in the news? Then we start talking about sustainability and not really focus on it. We recently got cut by a funder who said, our priorities have shifted. 2 years before they had said, we are in for the long haul. We want to stay with the organization until we see the impact. When you invest in education, in Uganda, you're taking a child from kindergarten to university. And I can show you the children. Tori met the young people we educated. We can pointedly say, we solved the problem, this child will never be poor again. At that standard. When we go in board meetings, we need people who are being affected to be part of the decision makers. When you are teaching a course here at CID, we need students to be exposed to the people who are living those circumstances. visiting scholars, visiting students. When they go, others can come. The sector priorities have shifted. We've seen a lot of changes. We've seen the decolonization conversations, decolonization both sides. The colonials did a good job to convince our people on the continent that you are here, we are here. To the extent that our people now need also to be decolonized, realize we can actually be at the same level. We are actually on the same level. But Tori will be the first one to tell you when we walk in Uganda, as many degrees I have, as many awards I have, my bag at the airport in Uganda will be checked 5 times more. Tourists want to be checked. Oh, she's coming to the country to help us because she's white. We don't know. We don't know what you're sneaking in the country because I am Uganda. So the person who is doing that needs to be decolonized as much as the racist person who thinks that because I'm black, I'm not educated. You can see that dichotomy. But in terms of universities, really the biggest thing for me to re-emphasize on universities is reciprocity. Classes, technology has made it so easy. You don't need to. I took a class when I was here last year on African politics and dynamics in this building right here. And every example of African politics and dynamics, the papers were written by British people. The YouTube channel we were watching was Rumumba 20 years ago. This is in 2023 at Harvard University in Boston, Massachusetts. I know so many African scholars who have written recent papers, have done YouTube channels. Why is Harvard still teaching from President Lumumba? And why is his video being narrated by a white man from UK when we have Democratic Republic of Congo scholars at the same university? Somebody needs to be decolonized. You ask me to say, you could set a class right here and zoom to Congo today and have University of Kinshasa give you a perspective of happenings yesterday. And your students will benefit way more than listening to President Obama. No wonder our president keeps saying, make America great again. He wants to take us back to slavery, and we are going, yeah, let's do it. We are going, let's move forward. And universities, donor people, decision makers, we could do a better job by engaging with everybody and partnering, genuine partnerships. Try, when I was working at Michigan State University, before I started running this organization, some friend of mine, whose name I'm going to not say, said to me, Jackson, you can quit your job at Michigan State and lead Nyaka and it will grow. Or you can keep one leg in Nyaka, one leg at Michigan State, and it will grow. The best decision ever was to quit my corporate job and run Nyaka. Many people cannot do that because they can't support their families. While we are debating overheads versus programs, we are hampering leadership of these organizations, international development, to grow because the salary is considered overhead. And donors are going, we don't fund overhead, we don't want to fund overheads. How am I going to get 20,000 people if I can't have a motorcycle to go? That's considered an overhead. So that funding should also, you in academia need to move people who are funding to learn better, or teach donors not to, when they are not happy, I am not going to fund anymore. You don't dance my dance, I am not going to give you money. You know this is happening right here, okay, and all over the country, and we can change that. Thank you.
Right.
Please join me in thanking Jackson one more time. Always when we say this case of Nyaka and female empowerment and agency in general is really useful and shaping how we understand development and the outcomes we want to see. So we really thank you guys for joining us today. Thank you again, Jackson, for being here. I just want to remind you all of that. If you were interested in learning more, there's copies of Jackson's works in the back room that you guys are free to take. So thank you guys so much for being here today.
Additionally, for anyone who's interested, we'll be hosting a smaller roundtable right now in the Hurting Conference Room, the CID offices. Justin will be going there right now. Anyone involved?
Everything's all possible.